Wellington, the 37-year-old daughter of a New Zealand police officer, is set to join a new generation of leaders overturning the political establishment in some of the world's most developed countries. Jacinda Ardern will become the world's youngest female leader after cutting a deal to form a coalition government in New Zealand. Vanessa D'Ambrosio, 28, regent of San Marino, finishes her rotating co-leadership arrangement at the end of October. Ardern's swift rise to power, less than 3 months after taking the reins of the struggling Labour Party, has drawn comparisons with the generational shift seen in Austria, Ireland, Canada and France. There has been a total reorientation to politics by the public since the global financial crisis, said Bryce Edwards, a political scientist at Victoria University in Wellington. They are no longer bound by the idea that politicians need to have experience, or age or strong credentials. Ardern has electrified supporters since becoming Labour leader on August 1, stirring up what the media dubbed Jacinda mania as she pledged to tackle social issues such as child poverty and affordable housing. She transformed the centre-left party's poll ratings, which had slumped to 24%, roughly half of outgoing Prime Minister Bill English's National Party. Although Labour finished second in the September 23 election, National failed to secure a majority, leaving both needing the backing of the New Zealand First Party to take office. After 12 days of negotiations, the small Nationalist Party's leader, Winston Peters, threw his support behind Ardern, saying that capitalism needed to regain its human face. The Kiwi dollar plunged 1.7% on Thursday, amid concerns the new government's policies, such as a potential cut in immigration, may curb economic growth. The Kiwi traded at US 70.28 as of 12:50 p.m. in Wellington on Friday. Stocks also dropped, with the SP/NZX 50 gross index ending a 13-day winning streak and falling 1% in early trading. Even though New Zealand's economy has grown strongly under National, which returned the budget to surplus, Ardern has argued that too many people have been left behind during the party's 3 terms in office. Labour and New Zealand First both campaigned on reducing immigration, increasing home construction, and reforming the central bank. ANZ Prime Minister-elect Jacinda Ardern describes herself as socially liberal. Photo Roskilde, Fairfax NZ. Ardern said on Friday that New Zealand First will hold 4 cabinet positions, while Labour's traditional ally the Greens will lead 3 of 8 ministerial portfolios outside cabinet. There will be 16 Labour ministers within cabinet and 5 in the outer ministry. Of those, only 6 will be women. Mr Peters has been offered the post of Deputy Prime Minister. Details of final policies will be announced next week, though Ardern said her campaign pledges for Labour's first 100 days in office were pretty much intact. ANZ First leader Winston Peters has been offered the position of Deputy Prime Minister in the labelled coalition government. Photo Roskilde. Ardern takes Labour into office for the first time in 9 years, with her coalition controlling 63 of 120 seats in Parliament. No party has won an outright majority since New Zealand introduced proportional representation in 1996. Ardern provided a lightning rod for dissatisfaction with the status quo. While the economy grew at 2.5% in the year through June, there is mounting disquiet about the widening gap between rich and poor. 1 in 5 Kiwi children live in households with incomes below the poverty line and 8% face severe material hardship, according to the Salvation Army. Outgoing Prime Minister Bill English talks to reporters on Thursday after learning Labour would form government. Photo. Her rise suggests an appetite for generational change, as was the case with Emmanuel Macron in France and Justin Trudeau in Canada, who has already tweeted his congratulations to Ardern. Shall be New Zealand's youngest leader since 1856. Ardern was brought up a Mormon but later left the church. Known to DJ at local music events, Ardern calls herself a socially liberal person. She will replace English, 55, a practicing Catholic with 6 children and conservative social views, and who's been in Parliament since Ardern was 10 years old. The National Party led by John Key ousted Labour's Helen Clark as Prime Minister of New Zealand 9 years ago. Photo. She lives with her boyfriend, and had previously said she would seek the party leadership because she wanted to have children. Asked again about motherhood just hours after becoming the Labour leader, Ardern won plaudits from supporters and opponents alike, saying it's a dilemma that many women face and you've just got to take every day as it comes. However, it was totally unacceptable in 2017 to say that women should have to answer that question in the workplace, she said. As a student, Ardern developed an early social conscience after noticing some children arrived at school without shoes or anything to eat for lunch. Though I was very young, I still have very clear memories of seeing things that just struck me as being unfair, Ardern said in an interview after becoming Labour leader. Things like that, I would say, probably sparked my interest in politics. After a stint working for Prime Minister Helen Clark in 2005, Ardern went abroad, working briefly in a soup kitchen in New York before spending several years in London as a civil servant during the final years of Tony Blair's premiership. She returned to New Zealand and entered Parliament at the 2008 election, which Clark lost. Labour had been in turmoil ever since, changing leaders 5 times in 9 years and slumping to its worst defeat since 1922 at the previous election. It is an absolute honour and a privilege to have the ability to form a government for all New Zealanders, Ardern told reporters after Peters made his choice. Bloomberg.